Thank you for your dedicated service. Thanks for coming out today. It's very important that all shareholders register their attendance at this meeting and if desired, deliver their proxy to the Secretary, Mayor Beth Campbell. Is there any shareholder who has not signed in or delivered his or her proxy to the Secretary? Please raise your hand. The Secretary has prepared a list of shareholders of the corporation entitled to vote at this meeting, arranged in alphabetical order, showing holders of common stock of the corporation as of the close of business on May 31st, 2019, the record date for voting. The number of shares of common stock held by each shareholder and each shareholder's address are included on that list. The Secretary has informed me that the records of the corporation show that there are 27,771,678 shares of the corporation's common stock outstanding on the record date, and therefore entitled to notice of and to vote at this meeting. The Secretary has confirmed that notice of this annual meeting was mailed on or about June 5th, 2019 to shareholders of record as of May 31st, 2019. Brenda Whalen is appointed as inspector. Brenda is appointed as inspector to act at this meeting and any adjournments of this meeting. The inspector's report will be attached to the minutes of this meeting. The Secretary has previously delivered to the inspector the list of shareholders and all proxies which have been received by the corporation. The Secretary has informed me that more than the majority of the 27,771,678 shares of common stock outstanding and entitled to vote at this meeting are present in person or by proxy. The inspector is making an exact count and will submit a formal report on the number of shares present or represented by proxy later during the meeting. A quorum is declared present, subject to the confirmation of that fact by the inspector of the report. We would like to now take a few minutes to run through a brief presentation. Again, welcome. Thanks for coming out today. We've got our caution regarding forward-looking statements, kind of the boilerplate. Our annual net income. Again, I've been here, this is my 12th time. I've been here 11 years. My first one of these was shortly after I got here in 2008, a few weeks after I got here, and I got to stand up in front of everybody and told people we lost $13.5 million in 2008. Fast forward, 2016, 2017 were impacted by some, 2016 positively by a $7 million tax benefit. We reinstated our deferred tax assets. 17 was adversely impacted. Tax rates went down. We had to write our deferred tax assets down. We'll look at kind of a normalized earnings here in a little bit, kind of normalized for that stuff. We had a nice 2018 with $3.2 million of net income. Core normalized performance. Core, we take pre-tax, pre-provision for loan losses, and pre-security gains and losses. And then we normalize it because we've had a lot of noise in our numbers. We had a lot of loans we put in non-accrual back in the Great Recession. And then as some of those loans have paid off, we had extraordinary interest income items happening as those have paid off after they were non-accrual. So we kind of normalize our earnings and adjust for all that weird stuff. So we recapitalized the bank back in 14, I believe, or 13, 14, we finished it first quarter. You see our normalized kind of core pre-tax, pre-provision, pre-security gains, $69,000. 2018 were $4.8 million. Our actual results in 2014 put us at the first percentile of our peer banks across the country, like the worst, pretty much almost the worst of the worst, the first percentile of our peer banks. 2018 actual results put us at the 58th percentile of our peer banks. So we've got above the average performance of our peer banks across the United States as far as our earnings. You see our return on average assets. And then our average assets haven't grown a lot because we had to fix our balance sheet. We had a whole bunch, like 55% of our balance sheet was investment securities when we were under that consent order for 6 years. So we've been turning those 2% yielding investments into 5%, 4 or 5% yielding loans. That's super helped drive our earnings. Now we're at the point where we're looking to grow our assets. Annual loan funding. In fact, when we were under the consent order, the OCC wanted us focused on safety and soundness. They did not want us to do a lot of lending. So as you can see, coming out of the consent order, we had about $35 million in total loan volume in 2014. You ran before 2017, we're at $123 million. You know, we jumped from $123 million to $182 million from 17 to 18, almost a 50% increase in our total loan closings. So kudos to Marty Smith, senior lender, kudos to Rick James, kudos to Randy for the retail stuff, kudos to everybody in here for doing a nice job. Nice pickup. At this point, you know, we've always, asset quality has always been job one. But at this point, with the recession looming, we've been very particular on what we're holding. Okay, here's kind of where we kind of look at our 6-month comparative earnings. You can see the gray slides, 2017, 2018 is kind of green, and 2019 is the darker to the right. On the left-hand side is our actual net income for the first 6 months of each year. And then on the right-hand side is our core earnings, kind of looking at our pre-tax, pre-provision, and pre-security gains and losses. You know, if you look at the far right 3 bars, like from 2017 to 18, I think that's was about a 37% increase in our core earnings. So we did 37% last year. From last year to this year, we did another 28% on top of the 37% we did last year. So nice pickup in our 6-month core earnings. Future earnings drivers, asset yields and funding efficiency. I mentioned earlier, you know, up in 2018, we kind of finished getting our balance sheet restructured, where we turned all those 2% yielding investments into higher yielding loans. But we still have room to continue to enhance our asset yields as we go forward, and we want to be very efficient in how we fund our balance sheet. Originate and sell assets and gains. You know, we started a residential mortgage program. I think we closed our first mortgage in 2017. I think it was actually September, October 2017 when we closed our first mortgage in-house. We want to originating, the vast majority of the mortgages we do, we originate and we sell in the secondary market, and we sell those at gains. We also are looking to emphasize small business lending, which 7A loans, you originate those, you sell those at gain in the market. So originating and selling assets at gain can be a real strong driver of return on equity and return on assets. Total asset growth, we have enough capital to have $200 million more in assets than we do today. So instead of being a $420, $430 million bank, we could be a $630 million bank without any more equity. No more shares issued, no more equity. So you start thinking about what our earnings would be with another $200 million in earning assets. We'd be driving up there. Residential lending, we commenced our program in late 2017. We've had nice increases in our loan production. We've been able to recruit mortgage originators over time. If you look at our residential lending for the first 6 months of this year, it was at an approximate break even. It performed at an approximate break even for the first 6 months. So we're looking forward to that contributing to our profitability for the second half of the year, as we had a strong mid-July pipeline of $7.3 million. We started a core deposit growth strategy last year. In May of last year, we kicked that off. We call it the Haberfeld High Performance Checking Program. It's a customer acquisition program. Since we've kicked it off, in a year, we've increased our checking accounts on a net basis by over 500 in 1 year. Now that's important because that's good low-cost funds to fund our loans. But another interesting thing about these 500 new accounts is those 500 new accounts in the first year they've been with us have overdraft almost 6 times a year. So those accounts are going to generate fee income for us as we continue that Haberfeld program We added 500 the first year. I expect we'd add more than 500 next year. Start thinking about the low-cost funds. You start thinking about the contribution of NSF fees. It's going to be a nice earnings driver for us. And then we always focus on efficiencies. We actually have a Gotta Be a Better Way committee and a Gotta Be a Better Way email address where employees almost on a daily basis send something into that says, hey, there's got to be a better way. And Patty and Randy kind of head up, I think, following up on all those got to be a better way suggestions, and we follow up on every single one of them. So efficiency is important to us. Franchise strengths. This is going to repeat a last year's slide because there's still franchise strengths. Livingston County is just an excellent market. We're super fortunate to be here. We have an incredible customer base. They stuck with us through the Great Recession. They stuck with us through those times when we were having a real rough time. Now we're growing that customer base. You saw the 500 net new checking accounts we bought in the year. We're growing our customer base. Only bank headquartered in the county. We're small enough to be nimble. And then we got substantial boardroom shareholding, so we're very focused on enhancing earnings and doing things to enhance shareholder value. And culture, my seat exists for one reason, and that's to enhance shareholder value. That's why the CEO exists. So we want to architect our bank to be in the kind of the consistently in the top quartile of our top 25% of all of our peer banks across the United States. We want to swim in that territory, and I think we're on our way to being there, and I think we'll get fairly close to getting there this year. So that kind of wraps up our little slideshow for today. Any questions on the slideshow, or any other questions before I kind of get back into the canned script? All right, we'll continue on. Okay, the minutes of the previous shareholder meeting on July 25th, 2018 are available for any shareholder to read. We have two proposals to be voted on at this meeting. The first matter to be voted on is to elect the following individuals as directors for a 3-year term expiring in 2022. Timothy Corrigan, William Dixon, and Ken Marblestone. The second matter to be voted on is to ratify the selection of Crowe Horwath LLP as independent auditor for 2019. Ballots have already been distributed for purposes of voting on these proposals. If you've already voted by proxy, you need not vote by ballot at this meeting. If you wish to vote by ballot and have not received a ballot, please raise your hand. Anybody here that wants to vote that hasn't voted? Going once, going twice, down. We'll now pause while the inspector is counting the votes. Inspector Brendan is counting the votes. The inspector has completed her count. Could we have the report from the inspector?
On the first matter, each of the nominees has received a majority of the votes cast at this meeting. On the second matter, the proposal to ratify the selection of Crowe Horwath LLP as independent auditor for 2019 has received a majority of the votes cast at this meeting.
Thank you, Brenda. The report of the inspector confirms that a quorum is and has been attendance at the meeting for all purposes. The report also shows that each of the matters submitted to our shareholders has been approved by the requisite vote of our shareholders. Thank you once again for your attendance at today's meeting. Any questions before I close the meeting now? If not, as chairman of this meeting, I hereby declare this meeting adjourned. Thank you again for your attendance. Thank you so much for coming out, folks. And please stay and visit and have some fun.